Good evening. Welcome to the Gothic Bohemian Salon. I'm Jwlhyfer, and tonight I'm going to share my thrifting and flea market secrets with you. Now, there's been a lot of videos about thrifting and flea marketing, and I'm sure a lot of very good advice and information has been given out. But I've watched a lot of the videos, and I haven't seen the types of tricks or tips that I use, so I thought I would make a video. I seem to be really successful at finding things where nobody else does. I just seem to come out with something wherever we go, and my friends don't usually find anything. So I figure it has to have something to do with these tips. So I'm going to share them with you, and the first thing I'm going to start with is what you're going to wear. Don't dress like you normally do if you dress up. Dress casually. Don't wear a lot of jewelry, particularly like stuff that you would be looking for. Don't wear clothes that are like clothes or shoes that you'd be looking for. You don't want to advertise your interests at this particular juncture. You just want to blend in with everybody else and hopefully get a few bargains. So, leave the jewelry at home. The second thing I would say is, and this is pretty obvious and you probably already thought of this, but just in case you haven't, wear comfortable shoes. Something flat if that's comfortable for you, and preferably with some kind of slick stocking or trouser sock. That's going to help you when you try on shoes if that's something that you like doing. And it's also a good idea just for your feet's sake. Yes, is that how you say it? Your feet's sake in general. They'll thank you at the end of the day, I promise. Also, you don't want to be trying on shoes with swollen feet, so it'll help your feet not to swell up and stuff if you're wearing comfortable shoes. Another thing that you want to do is you want to wear a full black skirt, or if you're a guy, maybe bring or wear a black jacket or coat. This is going to serve as a backdrop for the items that you're going to be wondering if they're going to fit in with your decor. It seems like when you go into a thrift store or look at a stall in a flea market, oftentimes our brains kind of shut off and all we see is a bunch of junk. The only way to get past that is to be able to imagine those things in a different environment. So what you do is you use your skirt or your jacket as a backdrop, as it were, for the item that you're interested in. You hold it up against the skirt, you imagine it in your surroundings, or you imagine yourself wearing it or whatever, and you're able to get a much clearer picture than you do when it's sitting amongst a lot of other stuff. You want to get your money together in a certain way too. Do get change, ones, fives, tens, and then coin as well. And keep your money in several different places. Put some in a front pocket of your jeans, some in a pocket of your purse, some in a wallet, some in a shirt pocket, etc. and so forth. This way, if you are haggling and you only, you say something like, I only have $5 or something, you can reach into a pocket that only has $5 in it, pull that out, and be able to present yourself accurately. It's a bit of subterfuge, but haggling is a time-honored tradition, and if they're going to haggle, I am going to have my money stashed in various places on my body. Now that we've dealt with how to prepare for going out to the flea market, bring energy bars and things to drink. Usually there's vendors at flea markets with food. And that can be pretty cheap, but bringing your own kind of saves you from having to stop and pay somebody else for food. So you're at the flea market, and you see all these different stalls and everything. Start at the beginning, make one complete tour of the entire place, kind of quick, and then go back to places where you saw things that were interesting. Don't buy anything right off, because you might hit a stall like 3 stalls down that has the exact same thing for like, half the price or something. This is particularly holds true in places like Chinatown, with those kind of shops, which is really a wonderful, cheap way to go shopping, but you find that the stuff on the outer edges is much more expensive than when you get to the inner part of Chinatown. At least in San Francisco it works that way. It's sort of that same way in flea markets sometimes. So one other thing I would suggest is that you go early. Thrift stores and flea markets often close early, or people pack up pretty early, because often they're there from like 7 a.m. or so. The flea market people are definitely going to have antique dealers and antique hunters there really early in the day. They go to get the best stuff before anybody else goes, and it's a good idea if you're really serious about finding things to go early too. Sometimes these places close up at about 2 o'clock, and that's pretty early for us shopping wise, or leaving the house wise, I know. So you also want to go often. This way the vendors get to know you better, they get to know what you're into, and you start to kind of make friends a bit. So they often will start putting things aside for you that they see that might be up your street. So this works both for flea markets and thrift stores. In thrift stores, however, you've got probably volunteers working, maybe paid employees, but they're not selling their own stuff. They're selling stuff for a charity. So they're not as invested in the items that are in the store, whereas a flea market person might be selling their own stuff, and they might have much more invested in it personally. Sometimes you encounter somebody who's just, selling stuff off for friends, or who does this all the time and just gets new stuff all the time. And that's not very uncommon at all. And they won't be, so connected to their stuff that, they're asking ridiculous prices for it. But it's a common problem, that, if the items belong to the seller, they're more attached to them, and their prices might be a little bit higher than they should be, perhaps. There is something to be said for arriving late at an auction. At a flea market. When they're trying to close up or pack up, they might be more inclined to give you a deal, because they're not interested in carrying that thing, whatever it is, back with them. They're trying to pack up as little as possible. So sometimes you can get really good bargains on the second day of a flea market, when closing time comes up, or the last few hours if it's just one day. Of course, you want to be polite. You knew that, right? If you, for example, see that something's mismarked, it's claiming to be, one thing when it's actually another, some vendors don't mind you pointing that out. Some get kind of defensive about it. Just be really, really polite about it if you must say something, and just quietly and politely point out the mistake. And if they don't agree with you, don't argue with them. Just say, okay, well, I thought it was this other thing, I'm sorry. And if it's a ridiculous price, don't buy it. Now, if it's something that you really wanted and the price isn't crazy and it's just mismarked, of course, there's no need to worry about anything. You just pick it up, right? So, the other thing that's really useful when you start to thrift more and go to more flea markets and stuff like that is to start to get to know the prices of things in general. You want to know how much things cost at the supermarket, how much they cost at thrift stores in general, how much do things cost at flea markets in general, how much do things cost just in real life, not real life, but at regular stores or at outlet stores. You just want to start getting those prices in your head so you know what's reasonable and what's not. There's a lot of outlet stores in the United States, and they can have really great bargains on pretty specific things. For example, we have this place in California that's called Tuesday Morning, and I always buy my tassels there, like really elaborate tassels, the kind that have tassels hanging off of tassels, and those are usually like $16 to $18 each, and I can get them for $2.99 to $4.99 at Tuesday Morning. So I never pay $16 for a tassel. I wait and I go to Tuesday Morning, and when I'm there I stock up on them, so I have a lot of tassels ready to go for whatever project I need tassels for. If you do see something that's right up your street, that's your thing that you've been looking for, don't show any signs of excitement. Don't, go, or, anything like that. Just be calm. Pick the item up, look at it, whatever. Put it back down and then go on to the next thing. If you see somebody like trolling your object, then, go over and grab it. If you're nervous about it or whatever. But if you can reasonably, let it be for a little while, go look at some other stuff, come back to the item, pick it up casually and say, hey, how much is this thing? Just really subtly, really casual, no big deal, and if the price is reasonable, obviously pay it. If you feel inclined to haggle. If it's way up there, then you have some thinking to do. Is this something that you've been waiting to find for like the last 20 years or something? Are you going to see another one anytime soon? These are important things to, keep in mind. If it's going to take the last of your money, but you've never seen this thing before and you've been looking for it for, 25 years or something, I'd say go for it. And if you have to eat ramen for a week, well, you have to eat ramen for a week. That's no big deal. I mean, this thing, this object, whatever it is going to be in your life for a while, probably. You're going to derive, enjoyment out of it, and you're not going to be thinking about that week that you ate ramen, You're just going to be enjoying, the beauty of something that you found at the flea market. And then going back to this, learn how to haggle. Haggling is a time-honored tradition at flea markets. It's even acceptable in thrift stores to a certain point. The best time to haggle is when you have many items that you're planning on getting. That's the time where most sellers are willing to knock off a few items, or willing to knock off, say $5 off the top of the whole, shindig or whatever. Don't be crazy, insane about it. Be reasonable, but you really can have a few things thrown in, or have, 5% taken off or something like that. The next thing I wanted to say was Oh, okay. This has to do with whether you're gonna mend, fix, or replace any missing parts or anything on an item that you want. Reasonably speaking, be honest with yourself. Are you really gonna fix it? If not, if it's just gonna sit out in the garage or sit in a pile somewhere, then there's really no point in adding to your pile. Now, if you think you're going to get to it someday, then okay, good, go ahead. But if you're really honest with yourself and you're really not going to get to it, why not let it go to somebody who is going to get to it? Or, conversely, try to start doing that repair work. Pick a time that's good, put a period movie on the telly, and sit and do some hand sewing for a while, or whatever. Teach yourself how to sew. It's really not that hard. There's a book called The Illustrated Guide to Sewing. It's by Singer. It's full-page color photographs of step-by-step sewing instructions. It's really, really good. It has everything from sewing on a button to putting in a zipper and everything in between. It even shows you how to use a serger, and various things like that. It's a good troubleshooting book, tells you what you're doing wrong, when things go wrong. I really can't recommend it highly enough, and you should be able to get it on Amazon for not very much. I actually should have brought the book over here to show you, but I'm an idiot and I forgot. So basically, I would say, it's important to be well informed, be willing to haggle, know your merchandise, and know yourself. If you have all these things in place, you'll have a really fulfilling thrift store, flea market experience. And I really hope that these tips have helped you in some way or do help you in the future. It's the things that I do to help me, and please do share with us your next finds at the thrift store, particularly if you use any of these methods. I'd really like to hear your stories about them. So if you want to post a response video, please do so down there, and I will try to get a URL to the book I was talking about and put it down there. And this has been the Gothic Bohemian Salon. I'm Jwlhyfer. Good evening.